So it's early in the morning on the 15th, and I just got done watching Cobra Kai Season 5 Part 2. I don't want to go into any spoilers here. I'm going to give you a non spoiler review, and then I'm going to be doing videos in the coming days predicting what's going to happen in Part 3. But it's going to be very difficult because, man, if there was one word that can sum up these 5 episodes, this is Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2, episodes 6 through 10. One word is unpredictable, and it was a hell of a roller coaster ride. So, the ending kind of left me speechless. Prepare to be surprised. Lots of twists, lots of surprising returns. And the one thing that I found interesting is that literally almost all of the leaks that had come out on 4chan or TikTok were wrong. Literally almost all of them. I mean, I covered a bunch of the Reddit leaks here, and I didn't know how true they were. Even the episode titles did not match up with the leaked episode titles. And what happened in the show just did not match up. It did not at all. Like, so 90%, 95% of the leaks were complete BS. However, there were a couple of leaks that were real. And so the Sekai Taikai tournament is the main story here. You got Miyagi-Do, you've got a Cobra Kai. The show deals with sort of the falling out from the first part of season 6, where they're trying to figure out where Tori's head is at, and the strained relationship between her and Robbie. Both characters are distracted and can't really do their best as team captains going against the champions of the other dojos in the world stage. The season introduces the Iron Dragons as the new big threat. So even though the Cobra Kai Miyagi-Do feud is still there and it's still the backbone of the show, you've also got now the Iron Dragons in there, with the captains being two of the toughest fighters ever. And so Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do have to re-examine their strategies to figure out how to beat them. The episodes also once again gave us more of the strained relationship between Daniel and Johnny. And to be honest with you, after watching these 5 episodes, and I did enjoy them, I will tell you that there's absolutely no way they can do another season after this one. Now, look, I know that this is the last season, but I'm saying based on the way things are going, a lot of folks thought that season 4 or 5 could have been it. And you could tell in this season they're kind of going backwards for a couple of their storylines, because some of the misunderstandings between the characters are things that can be worked out with conversations, which I've talked about before is kind of silly, and they go back to that here. So it's one of those problems where the show. The show, and I had fun with this. I am not saying this is bad. I'm just saying, as far as coming up with new ideas go for the characters to do, right now we're kind of on autopilot as far as like their, where we're going with the characters. However, there were some pretty surprising, bits, including like the relationship between Robbie and Miguel, and sort of like the Robbie doesn't want to be second place. Miguel's trying to be a leader there. They're both kind of being impatient with each other. There's a very, very interesting storyline with Chosen that I was not expecting. The Chosen storyline I was not expecting. This one hit me out of left field. And it was goofy. See, the thing about this show is it never stops being goofy. There's an episode where two characters are on an airplane and the entire thing is played up for laughs, even though some of it is, a little bit serious based on events going on in the United States while they're in Barcelona. But the show is still retaining its comedic flavor from before. Now, another storyline that was expanded upon, albeit not fully concluded, was the storyline with Daniel LaRusso finding out that Miyagi competed in the Sekai Taikai. And in one of the episodes, we actually have some pretty interesting deep fake technology to where they brought Pat Morita back to life. Now, I think there are going to be some people that are going to assume that this, or going to think that this actually may have hurt the character of Mr. Miyagi. I do not agree. In fact, I did a video months ago speculating on what the big twist is with Miyagi and the Sekai Taikai, and I had like 3 different ideas, and one of them is exactly what they did. One of them is exactly what the backstory was. It explains why Miyagi hates tournaments and why there was blood on the, like, all that stuff is explained. And of course, Daniel has to deal with that because he again is not even sure what like if he's even doing the right thing by teaching the kids. But Miguel ends up being the big sort of emotional core to bring them together. There's a little bit more going on with Kenny Payne as well, and sort of where his alliances are, and they do clear up what happened in part one with Kenny and Devin. That is a part of a couple of the episodes in the middle. You know, I will tell you this: for the first couple of episodes, I was sort of a little bit let down, to be honest. Like the Sekai Taikai was built up a lot, and there were some good fights. There really were, but there's this weird story with Daniel trying to find this martial arts instructor that seems to have information about Miyagi, and it was a very weird storyline that felt like it was taken out of a different type of it was almost from a different show. You know, I thought that I was watching a different show with that side story. Then you find out what's really going on. At one point, you're thinking to yourself, okay, this character's a bad guy, but this seems a bit far-fetched. But then you find out what's really going on, and it's like, okay, that kind of makes more sense. So we do pick up on some of the characters on both sides and explore them. Kreese and Johnny's relationship, very complicated, continues to be. And then, of course, one of the things they did do, which I was wondering if they were going to do, is they actually explained how in the hell Kreese was able to get on an airplane and go to Korea and escape the law after breaking out of prison at the end of season 5. However, the explanation, while they did try to give one, still doesn't make much sense because breaking out of prison, you're not supposed to do that. Like if you're innocent and you get let go, or if the charges are dropped or whatever, you still can't just escape. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what happened here with that. And again, it's difficult because you can tell they wrote themselves into a corner. You can tell they did, and there were a few different times we can feel that. The Sekai Taikai tournament overall, it really focused on just Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do, and the Iron Dragons, like we mentioned. And when it comes to the Iron Dragons, it really only focused on their sensei, and of course Axel, and Zara. And they're kind of funny characters in their own way, but there's also a dark side going on. Sam kind of walks in on something she shouldn't have seen involving Axel. And so Axel, for a few of these episodes, comes off very sympathetic, whereas Zara, not really. Zara is actually kind of a great foil. She's a villain, right? And she's pretty good at being a villain. She's very overconfident. She's very materialistic. Like even though she's a very attractive lady, she does come off like somebody who's pompous and you don't want to be around her, but her skills are incredible. There's a scene with her and a bow staff, and if you've seen her Instagram, the actress, Reina Valadingam, using her bow staff, like she's incredibly fast, and we see some of that here. There's also some weird stuff going on with, you have to keep in mind that even though these actors are older, they're playing high school kids and they're going around drinking. Now, I know the legal age of drinking is different in other parts of the world, but it's still weird seeing a character that's supposed to be like 17 ordering a rum and coke. It doesn't break my brain or anything, but it was weird. Some of the choices they made were very unique, and it all kind of builds up to this final episode that has... Each episode was about 30 to 33 minutes or so. I think one might have been 36. But the last episode of this season 6, of this part, season 6, part 2, episode 10, a lot of stuff happens. There's a lot of twists and turns that were not expected. A lot of things went on that I didn't think were going to happen. Like, you could not predict what they were going to do in this show. Like, there's a couple things I did predict. There is. But there were other things that happened where I was just like, okay, I was not expecting that. And that, to me, some of the choices were done. Some were done well, and some were not done well. But it was still a hell of a lot more enjoyable than part 1. There were some characters that I thought we were going to see here that we didn't see yet. They're probably being saved for part 3. A couple surprises that I was expecting to see, not quite yet, but most of this episode takes place in Barcelona with basically Miyagi-Do realizing that they have to train really hard in order to overcome some of these difficult challenges from the world stage. But just like every other Cobra Kai sort of season, there's an event that happens in episode 10. First of all, the highlights is episode 9 and 10. When episode 8 was going on, I was starting to really wonder if I was going to enjoy this. And then episode 8 has a great cliffhanger that I loved. Episode 9, well, actually, I think 7 might have been the one with the cliffhanger. And then episode 9 was crazy. And I remember hearing the actors talk about episode 9. Episode 9 is mostly combat. And they have these different types of challenges in the Sekai Taikai, mostly involving teamwork. And you really see some of these rivalries and these feuds getting built up and going further along. But when you get to episode 10, I mean, I was left speechless. The cliffhanger of this, part is one that I was not expecting. It's something that they have not done before. And it goes from being a really silly and, let's be honest, unrealistic, final, let's say 15, 20 minutes of the episode to something being taken very, very seriously and a very serious ending that leaves not only the characters in the show shocked, but also the people watching. Again, what I found interesting is that the leaks that we talked about from Reddit, I have no sources that watch Cobra Kai, so I haven't been able to double check anything. I just read you what Reddit says. It ain't like Dragon Ball where I got people, not with Cobra Kai. But the leaks were all bullshit. Like, a lot of them were. Like, there were even, like, individual episode leaks that weren't even remotely what happened. So either the scripts were changed and some script leaked, or it was all fake, or things were moved around. But I have doubts about all of that. I really do. I just feel like the leaks were just not true. That's just how it is. But in some ways, it made it a bit more enjoyable. However, some of the ideas from the leaks would have been cool to see. So I now am sitting here, and they did announce that February 15th, I believe it's February 15th or February 13th. Let me look and make sure I get this right. I'm actually looking right now as I record. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Same day. That is the same day that Captain America comes out. That is when Season 6 Part 3 will air. And I am very curious about how they're going to wrap this up. I am going to do prediction videos without question. I am going to do my thoughts, a spoiler review most likely on this season. But some stuff was pleasant, and I was surprised. Other stuff just shocked me. And I don't know, man. They took it there. We'll see. We will see. But the show has hit such crazy heights when it comes to the things that these characters do that there's no way to follow this up. Like, we have one last batch of episodes, 5 more episodes left, and the story will come to an end. And there's still a lot of story left to be told because I don't want to spoil it, and I won't. But the Sekai Taikai, there's a lot of unanswered questions with that tournament and where we go from here. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, but this is a non-spoiler review. So, better than part 1. I do still feel like they haven't quite hit the heights of season 5, which moved me emotionally, on a couple different occasions. But the action was stellar. The choreography and the moves were way more complex than ever before. There's multi-person fights, not just one-on-one fights, and those were fun to watch with different types of rules, so they had to adjust. That was cool. I enjoyed it. I really did. 5 episodes to go, man. We'll talk more about that in the coming days, but obviously leave comments with your thoughts. If you're new here, subscribe. But Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2, I don't even know what to think, man. What a crazy, literally like a. I'm still shocked. The ending is still shocking. Like I'm still kind of speechless over the ending because it's not something I was expecting. And the show also plays around with like who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. You kind of want to cheer for this person or that person, but then like two bad guys fight each other and one is a little bit more good than the other one. Like this show, this season had multiple times where two villains, two heels, two antagonists fight each other, and I'm left thinking, okay, well, who am I supposed to root for? But of course, you find out. And there are some interesting twists. I liked it. I really did. I enjoyed it. Let me know your comments down below. Take care.